What's up, guys? I hope you guys are having a great day so far, and today I will be talking about jigs. Definitely a jump up from, I'd say, just like a Texas rig or a shaky head. The jig has so many different variations, from football jigs to grass jigs to swim jigs to flipping jigs to finesse jigs. There's endless different variations of jigs, and truly you can find yourself just drowning in different options at the store, and you're probably questioning yourself on like, which one should I buy, which ones are best in certain case scenarios. Well, today I will be telling you all about that and simplifying it down so that the next time you're in the store or the next time you're out on the water, you know exactly what to throw to have a chance at getting a big bass to bite your jig. So for the most part, of course, you know, like I said, there are just countless variations of jigs, and to simple it down, I would just say go to the store and find yourself a flipping or pitching jig where you can just go out on the water, start chucking at structures, some trees, some timber, some rock points or something like that. And like I said, a flipping jig is a great spot to start. For me personally, what I like to throw is the all-terrain rattling AT jigs. Now, something special about these, there's a couple special things actually about these. For the most part, so like when I started jig fishing, I found myself going down the aisles of jigs, and like I described earlier, I mean, I'm just drowning in options. There's so many different sizes, colors, swim jigs, grass jigs. I mean, it's like, what do I start with if I've never picked up a jig before? And like I said, the flippin' jig, and specifically all-terrain. The reason this stood out to me in the first place was this little black thing attached to the jig that you see here. This goes around the hook. There's multiple holes. You just pick a hole and you put it down on the hook. This is a super cool feature. It actually helps keep your soft plastics threaded on the hook. So when a bass comes and bites this, they want to rip your soft plastic off, but they're not going to be able to, because this little hook keeper keeps the soft plastic on your hook. That's like the main thing that drew me to this jig, and I can tell you from experience, it works awesome. I lose like half the amount of soft plastics that I would normally go through on a fishing trip. Another cool thing about this all-terrain rattling jig, it has rattles, just like in the name. You can shake it, you can hear them, of course, and a good weed guard. You're not going to get hung up on every branch that you throw it to, like some jigs that have too light of weed guard. And finally, the final thing that separates this jigs from all the others is, if you look closely, you can see the little bumps on the bottom of this jig. Now, you won't be able to notice like a super big difference, but you can feel it when it counts. When you're dragging this jig across structure, you can almost like feel better the structure that you're dragging it against. Like, you can identify the type of structure. If you don't have a super fancy fish finder where you can't tell whether you're dragging it across rocks or sand, this will help you be able to tell the difference between what structure you're dragging it across, which will eventually help you to just catching more fish. Knowing what structure that you're throwing your jig against will help you catch more fish, just because of the retrieve that you use on different areas. Now, the second thing you may be wondering is, what weight should I use? And for the most part, what I like to do is just go with the 3/8 ounce. It's the simplest thing you can do. 1/2 ounce sometimes just feels heavy, especially when you got a trailer on there all on top of it. It's like, geez, like how heavy of a rod do I actually need? Well, with a 3/8 ounce jig, you know, like a medium heavy is just fine. You don't need to break out the heavy rod and lose sensitivity just because you can't like control a 1/2 ounce or a 3/4 ounce jig even. I like to just keep it to the 3/8 ounce and like below. Like this is a 1/4 ounce finesse swim jig from All Terrain, which if you are fishing some grass, you might want to bust out a swim jig. But for the most part in the Midwest, you're fishing rocks or you're fishing timber, and a flipping jig is where you want to go to for that. Now trailers. Everybody, of course, has their personal preference for a trailer. And what you're gonna choose to throw is totally up to you. Personal preference, like I said. For the most part, people love throwing these beaver baits when it comes to jigs. And let me tell you, I can barely tell the difference between these two. And they are completely different companies. Strike King, Beaver, and Guggenbait's Bandito Bug right here. Now, the variations on this are so small that I don't think a bass is going to notice. The biggest difference probably between the two is the scent. And I think Strike King has like some weird coffee scent. And Guggenbaits are going to tell you they throw like donkey sauce on there, which who knows what that is. But you can't go wrong with a beaver bait. One thing I will say is that a lot of people throw beaver baits. So if you want to separate yourself from the crowd, maybe try a weird variation of a beaver bait. And then something that I like to do is in the spring, I'll switch over to a craw. Now this is the Guggenbait's Kraken Craw, and this is the Z-Man, I think it's called a Pro Craw. But some nice things about both these companies is they both have like plastic hard shells that you can put these baits in, which are super nice. It helps you keep the form of the soft plastic. You can just rip one of these plastics out, crack it open, take a bait, close them back, and they'll never lose, like they'll never be deformed or anything like that. That's with both Z-Man and Guggenbaits. And then the extra thing with Z-Man is, check this out. Not gonna break on you. If you pair a Z-Man with an all-terrain jig with this little soft plastic keeper that they got on there, how can you go wrong? You probably, unless you get some just unheard of snag, you probably won't lose a single jig or soft plastic the whole day. And throwing around a $6 setup is a lot nicer than throwing a $20 jackhammer around and trying to lose that, So, and then like I said, so many variations. If you just keep it simple, All Terrain makes grass masters and swim jigs. That's going to be your grass. And then for rocks and timber, Rattle NAT jig and the football head Rattle NAT. Color wise, like in Iowa, here in the Midwest, depending on how clear your lakes are. In Iowa we got, couple feet of clarity maybe. So I tend to just roll with like a green pumpkin, and I match the trailer with the jig, of course. But if you're fishing like clear water, green pumpkin is still good with clear water. Anything that looks natural, maybe a bait fish color in the clear water. And then for like dark water or just murky, you're probably going to want to go with the darker. This one's called Black Neon by All Terrain Tackle. And something about All Terrain Tackle packaging. This is the old packaging. This is the new packaging. Super good upgrade from All Terrain Tackle this year. You're going to be able to crack this bag open, take your bait out, and then fish it, keep the bag, and then put it back in the bag when you're done. Close it up, seal it, reseal it. All the information's on the back. Of course, you can see it with this clear packaging. It's going to tell you exactly the hook size, the ounce. This packaging is money when it comes to tackle storage and organization. And now, onto the rod and reel setup. Of course, everybody prefers something different for the rod and reel setup. But for me, if you're following just throwing a 3/8 ounce, keeping it simple, I like to throw a 7-1 medium heavy fast action rod. As for the reel, I like to just throw a 7-to-1 gear ratio Daiwa on there and go to town. So you want that faster reel gear ratio to just hook set, get them in the boat as fast as you can. You don't want to dilly-dally with a jig because all they got to do is throw one hook and they're gone forever. And like especially with the medium heavy rod, I just find it more sensitive than a heavy rod. And if you hook set hard enough, you can still get them in the boat without any issues. So that's pretty much it, guys. Keep it simple. 3/8 ounce all-terrain tackle rattle AT jig. You cannot go wrong with them. Beaver baits, craws in the spring, maybe in the fall. Z-Man, of course, has that good stretch. The other guys maybe spending some more time on scent and action, but overall you really can't go wrong with beaver style and the Kraken craw. And or not Kraken craw, just any craw in general will work. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, stay tuned next Friday, 3 p.m. I come out with new videos every week. And like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed, and I will see you for the next one. Thank you for watching.